How does the tech that runs our world really work? We break it down to its fundamental truths. This is First Principles.
You're sitting in the passenger seat. Your hands are in your lap. Your feet are flat on the floor. And the car is driving itself. It's nighttime. Rain is streaking across the windshield, blurring the neon signs and traffic lights into a watercolor painting. Up ahead, a taxi cuts across two lanes without signaling. A pedestrian, hidden under the deep shadow of an awning, takes a hesitant step towards the curb. A bicycle courier, draped in reflective gear, weaves through the congestion. For a human driver, this is a high-stress, cognitively demanding environment. It's a sensory assault. You'd be gripping the wheel, your senses on high alert, constantly calculating, predicting, reacting. But the car is serene. It doesn't flinch. It notes the taxi's aggressive lane change and creates a little extra space. It has already registered the pedestrian's potential movement and is prepared to slow. It tracks the bicycle's erratic path with unwavering attention. It glides through the chaos with a liquid grace that feels less like machine calculation and more like supreme, unshakable confidence. It feels like magic. We've gotten used to this particular brand of magic very quickly. The car that drives itself is rapidly moving from science fiction to a feature on a dealership checklist. And when we think about how it works, if we think about it at all, we tend to fall back on a simple, intuitive assumption. We assume it's a car with really, really good eyes. We imagine it has some kind of super camera, a high-definition vision system that just sees the world the way we do, but faster, sharper, and more reliably. It's a simple mental model, and it makes sense. But have you ever stopped to really wonder how that actually works? Have you ever questioned that assumption? What if I told you that the car doesn't see the world like we do at all? What if its primary way of perceiving reality is so alien to our own experience that it's closer to how a bat navigates in total darkness, or how a surveyor maps a mountain range? What are the fundamental rules, the first principles, that allow a machine to build a complete three-dimensional understanding of the world from scratch, dozens of times every second? Today, we're going to open one of the most complex and consequential black boxes of our time, the perception system of a self-driving car. We're going to deconstruct the magic of its superhuman senses and reveal the elegant, surprising, and profoundly non-human reality that allows it to navigate our world. The experience of riding in a mature autonomous vehicle is, above all else, an experience of smoothness. It's the absence of the little jerks and corrections that even good human drivers make. The car doesn't get distracted. It doesn't get angry. It doesn't get tired. It maintains a perfect, unwavering 360-degree bubble of awareness at all times. It sees the car drifting into its lane from behind, the child's ball rolling towards the street a block ahead, and the sudden slowing of traffic 3 cars in front, all at the same time. Its reaction to events is predictive, not reactive. It seems to anticipate what other drivers are going to do before they do it, adjusting its speed and position with a subtle, fluid intelligence. This is the magic we see. It's a system that takes the most dangerous thing most of us do every single day, propelling ourselves down a road in a Twatten metal box surrounded by other people doing the same, and renders it calm, safe, and effortless. It's so effective that it can quickly become mundane, the incredible feat of engineering fading into the background of a podcast or a phone call. We trust it, and that trust is built on a perception system that is profoundly more complex and capable than our own. But to understand why this system even needs to exist, we have to look back at the problem it was designed to solve. The dream of a self-driving car is almost as old as the car itself. is far back as the 1939 World's Fair. General Motors presented a vision of an automated future with cars moving along embedded electromagnetic tracks. For decades, this was the prevailing idea. If you want to automate the car, you first have to automate the road. The world was just too messy, too unpredictable. You had to constrain the problem. The early pioneers of true autonomy, those who dreamed of a car that could drive on any road, faced a challenge that seemed utterly insurmountable. It wasn't about mechanics. Making a car accelerate, brake, and steer electronically was relatively straightforward. It wasn't even about navigation. We've had maps for centuries and GPS for decades. The real towering obstacle, the problem that stumped the brightest minds for half a century, was perception. How can a machine possibly make sense of the infinite, chaotic, and ever-changing stream of sensory data that is a simple drive down the street? Driving isn't a logic problem. It's a perception problem. You don't follow a simple set of rules. You react to a deeply nuanced, three-dimensional, fast-moving reality. A shadow can look like a pothole. A plastic bag fluttering in the wind can look for a split second like an animal darting into the road. A sun glare can momentarily blind you. A human driver navigates this ambiguity using intuition, experience, and a brain that has been fine-tuned by millions of years of evolution to process visual information. A computer has none of that. This challenge was famously crystallized in the early 2000s by DARPA, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. They issued a grand challenge, a race for autonomous vehicles across the Mojave Desert. The first race, in 2004, was a spectacular failure. The most successful vehicle traveled less than 8 miles of the 150-mile course. The machines were utterly baffled by the real world. They couldn't distinguish a rock from a bush. They got stuck, wandered off course, and shut down. The dream seemed as far away as ever. The problem of perception seemed too hard. But this failure sparked a revolution, forcing engineers to abandon the old ways of thinking and start from first principles. The question was no longer, how do we make a car that sees like a human? The question became, how can a machine perceive reality in its rawest form, without any of the shortcuts or biases of human senses? So, let's open the box. Let's start with the most intuitive component, the one we all assume is doing most of the work: the camera. Self-driving cars are covered in them. They peer out from the windshield, the bumpers, the side mirrors. And it's true, these cameras are the foundation of the car's perception system. They are its eyes. Just like our eyes, a camera works by capturing light. A lens focuses light onto a sensor, an electronic chip called a CMOS sensor, which is essentially a grid of millions of tiny light-sensitive buckets, or pixels. Each pixel measures the intensity and color of the light that hits it. The result is a two-dimensional grid of data, a flat image that represents a slice of the world. For the car's artificial intelligence, this image is just a massive matrix of numbers. The AI, a deep learning neural network, has been trained on millions of miles of driving data. It has been shown countless examples of what a stop sign looks like from different angles, in different lighting conditions. It has learned to recognize the distinct pattern of pixels that corresponds to a pedestrian, a lane line, a traffic light. It can look at that flat grid of numbers and, with incredible accuracy, classify the objects in the scene. It can draw a box around a car and label it car. It can identify a sign and read the text yield. This is the camera's superpower. It is the what sensor. It is brilliant at recognition and classification. But here's the critical flaw, the reason why cameras alone are completely insufficient for self-driving. A camera produces a two-dimensional image. The world is three-dimensional. That translation from 3D to 2D loses a fundamental piece of information: depth. Think about it. Look at a photo of two people. Can you tell for sure how far apart they are standing? Is one person simply much larger than the other, or is one standing much closer to the camera? Without other cues, it's impossible to know. A camera has the same problem. It can see a car ahead, but it struggles to know exactly how far away it is. It might estimate based on the size of the car in the frame, but is it a large truck far away, or a small car close up? This ambiguity is dangerous. And the camera shares our own greatest weakness. It's dependent on light. On a bright, clear day, it works beautifully. But what happens at night, or when the sun is setting, pointing directly into the camera's lens and creating a blinding glare? What about in heavy fog, or a torrential downpour, or a snowstorm? In conditions where a human driver would be squinting, slowing down, and relying on instinct, the camera is effectively blind. It's a powerful sense, but a fragile one. For a machine that cannot afford to make a single mistake, for a system where a moment of uncertainty could be fatal, relying on sight alone is not an option. It needs another way to perceive the world, a sense that works when the eyes fail. It needs a sense that doesn't use light at all. So, let's give our car a second sense. Let's give it ears. Not ears that hear sound, but ears that perceive the world using radio waves. This technology is called radar. Radar is a concept that might feel familiar from old war movies or air traffic control screens. It's an acronym: radio detection and ranging. And its first principle is incredibly simple, something you've experienced yourself. Imagine shouting into a canyon and waiting to hear your echo. The time it takes for the sound to travel to the canyon wall and back tells you how far away the wall is. The longer the delay, the farther the distance. Radar does the exact same thing, but instead of shouting with sound, it shouts with radio waves. A radar unit on the car's bumper sends out a short, powerful pulse of radio waves. These waves travel outwards at the speed of light. When they hit an object, another car, a guardrail, a bridge abutment, they bounce off, and a small fraction of that energy reflects back to the radar's receiver. The system measures the time it took for that round trip with incredible precision. And since it knows the speed of light, it can calculate the distance to the object with pinpoint accuracy. This is the ranging part of its name. But radar has another, even more brilliant trick up its sleeve. It can also tell you instantly, not just where an object is, but how fast it's moving toward or away from you. To understand this, we need to think about another common experience: the sound of an ambulance siren. As the ambulance races towards you, the pitch of the siren sounds high. As it passes you and moves away, the pitch drops. This is the Doppler effect. The sound waves get compressed as the source moves towards you, making the frequency higher, and stretched as it moves away, making the frequency lower. The exact same thing happens with the radio waves from the car's radar. If the car ahead of you is moving away, the returning radio echo will be stretched out, its frequency slightly lowered. If the car is braking and you're closing in on it, the returning echo will be compressed, its frequency slightly higher. By measuring this tiny shift in frequency, the radar system can calculate the relative velocity of every object it detects. This is a monumental leap. Suddenly, the car has a sense that is completely independent of light. It works just as well in total darkness, blinding sunlight, thick fog, or a blizzard. Radio waves slice right through all of it. Radar is the ultimate where and how fast sensor. It gives the car a constant, unwavering awareness of the objects around it, their precise distance, and their precise speed. It's the sense that keeps you from rear-ending someone in a sudden traffic jam on the highway. But radar, for all its strengths, has a profound weakness. Its resolution is terrible, Because radio waves are long, the picture they paint of the world is blurry and indistinct. A radar system can tell you with absolute certainty that there is a large, metallic object 100 meters ahead of you, and it's moving at 55 miles per hour. But it can't tell you if that object is a passenger car, a delivery truck, or a motorcycle. It can't distinguish a stopped car from a steel road plate. It has trouble seeing smaller, non-metallic objects, like a pedestrian or a wooden crate. It paints a world of ghosts, a world of vague, moving blobs. It knows where things are, but it has no idea what they are. So now we have two senses. We have the camera, our artist, who can see in beautiful detail and recognize every object, but has no depth perception and is easily blinded. And we have the radar, our bat, who can perceive distance and motion with perfect clarity in any weather, but whose world is a blurry, featureless landscape. Either one of these senses on its own would be dangerously incomplete. They are pieces of a puzzle. We are still missing the most important piece, a true, high-fidelity, three-dimensional map of the world. We need a sense that combines the detail of the camera with the distance measurement of radar. And to get that, we need to turn from radio waves back to light, but use it in a completely new and ingenious way. Let's imagine for a moment that you are standing in a pitch-black, unfamiliar room. You need to understand its exact shape and contents without being able to see. You're given two tools, a laser pointer and a stopwatch with impossibly fast reflexes. You point the laser at a wall. A tiny red dot appears. You start the stopwatch the instant the light leaves the pointer, and you stop it the instant the reflection returns to your eye. Light travels incredibly fast, about 1 foot per nanosecond, but your stopwatch is fast enough. It reads 20 nanoseconds. You know the light traveled there and back, so the wall is 10 feet away. Now you do it again. You point the laser at a slightly different spot. 21 nanoseconds. That part of the wall is 10.5 feet away. You do it again and again and again. You sweep the laser across the room, up and down, side to side, sending out thousands of pulses and measuring each echo. With every measurement, you are plotting a single point in 3D space. After a few minutes, you would have a collection of thousands of points. If you connected them, you would have a ghostly, three-dimensional wireframe model of the room. You would see the exact shape of the table, the curve of the chair, the precise angle of the walls. You would have created a perfect map of a space you could not see. This is the first principle of LIDAR. It's an acronym, just like radar, but this time for light detection and ranging. A LIDAR unit, typically mounted on the roof of a self-driving car, is essentially this exact system, but on an industrial, superhuman scale. It's a spinning cylinder packed with lasers and sensors. As it spins, it sends out not thousands, but millions of laser pulses every single second in a full 360-degree arc. Each one of those laser pulses travels out, hits a surface, the asphalt of the road, the trunk of a tree, the license plate of the car in front, the jacket of a pedestrian, and a tiny fraction of that light bounces back to a sensor. The system times each round trip, and for every pulse it sends out, it gets back a single, precise 3D coordinate, a single dot in space. The result is breathtaking. It's called a point cloud. In real time, the LIDAR system generates a live, constantly updating 3D map of the car's entire surroundings. Constructed from millions of individual points of light, it's not an image in the way a camera sees it. It's a true, geometrically perfect digital recreation of the world. It sees the world in terms of its pure shape and structure. It doesn't know that a flat vertical surface is a wall, and a thin, cylindrical object is a lamppost. It just knows the exact coordinates of every point on their surfaces. With this point cloud, ambiguity about distance disappears. The car knows, down to the centimeter, the exact shape, size, and location of everything around it. It can distinguish between a raised manhole cover and a flat puddle. It can see the difference between a high curb and a gentle slope. It can perceive the exact contour of the road ahead. It is the ultimate what shape and where sensor. It provides the architectural blueprint of reality upon which everything else can be built. However, litter is not a perfect godlike sense. It has its own weaknesses. Because it uses light, it can be affected by very dense fog or heavy snow, which can scatter the laser beams. It also doesn't see color or texture. To a litter sensor, a stop sign is just an octagonal shape, indistinguishable from an octagonal piece of plywood. It can't read the words on a sign or see the color of a traffic light. And, historically, these complex, high-precision spinning units have been incredibly expensive, a major barrier to the mass production of autonomous vehicles. So now we have our three senses. The camera, which knows what things are, but not precisely where they are. The radar, which knows where things are and how fast they are moving, but not what they are. And the litter, which knows the precise 3D shape and where everything is, but not its color, texture, or meaning. Each one is a powerful but flawed storyteller, giving the car a different, incomplete version of reality. Any single one, operating alone, would be a recipe for disaster. The camera could be blinded by the sun. The radar could ignore a wooden pallet in the road. The litter could fail to recognize a traffic light has turned red. This is where the real magic happens. This is the deepest aha moment. The first principle of autonomous perception is not the quality of any single sensor. It's the way the car's brain takes these three profoundly different, noisy, and imperfect streams of data and weaves them together into a single, unified, coherent model of the world that is vastly more accurate, more reliable, and more complete than any one of them alone. This process is the unseen giant of autonomy. It's called sensor fusion. Think of the car's AI brain as a master detective, or better yet, a conductor leading an orchestra of perception. It receives three different reports about the world every fraction of a second. Imagine a pedestrian stepping off the curb. The camera pipes up first from the string section. I see a pattern of pixels that I recognize with 98% confidence as a human figure. It is wearing a blue coat. The camera provides the rich, semantic understanding. It knows the what. Simultaneously, the radar, the percussion section, provides the beat. I detect a non-metallic object at approximately this location, moving at a velocity of 3 miles per hour, directly into our path of travel. The radar provides the critical motion data. It knows the how fast and in what direction. And then the litter, the powerful brass section, defines the structure. I have a high-density point cloud that resolves into a human-like shape, 1.7 meters tall, at these exact X, Y, and Z coordinates, 32.6 meters from the vehicle. The litter provides the undeniable, geometric truth of the object's shape and location. The conductor, the sensor fusion algorithm, doesn't just listen to one instrument. It listens to the entire orchestra at once. It overlays the camera's image, the radar's blob, and the litter's point cloud. It sees that they all correlate. They all describe the same object in the same location. The camera's what is given a precise location and velocity by the radar and litter. The litter's geometric shape is given semantic meaning by the camera. The radar's moving blob is confirmed to be a person. The system doesn't just see a pedestrian. It knows with a degree of certainty a human could never achieve that there is a 1.7 meter tall human in a blue coat, located at exactly 32.6 meters, moving at 3 miles per hour into its path. This fusion is what makes the system robust. What if it's foggy? The camera's confidence might drop to 30%, but the radar and lidar are unaffected. Their signals are still crystal clear. The fusion algorithm will intelligently weight their inputs more heavily. The car loses its color vision, but it doesn't lose its understanding of the world. What if a stray plastic bag blows across the road? The camera might momentarily classify it as an animal, but the radar will report a near-zero mass object, and the lidar will show a flimsy, non-rigid shape. The algorithm cross-references the reports and correctly concludes it's a harmless piece of debris, avoiding a dangerous and unnecessary slam of the brakes. The car's perception of the world is not an image. It's a sophisticated, multi-layered hypothesis, constantly being tested and refined by 3 different physics-based systems. It's a mosaic, a composite reality built from the intersection of light, radio waves, and lasers. The final product is an understanding of the world that isn't just a copy of human vision. It's something new. It's a bionic, superhuman sense that is greater than the sum of its parts. We began this journey in the passenger seat of a car that seemed to drive by magic. We might have assumed its secret was a simple one, a better pair of eyes. But as we've deconstructed that magic, we've found a far more elegant and profound truth. We've peeled back the layers of the black box to find not one, but a trio of distinct senses, each with its own unique strengths and crippling weaknesses. We found the camera, a master of recognition, but a slave to the light. We found the radar, a tireless tracker of motion, but blind to the identity of the things it tracks. And we found the lidar, a meticulous 3D architect, but oblivious to the meaning of the world it so perfectly maps. We learned that the secret wasn't in any one of these alone. The foundational principle, the core of this incredible technology, is fusion. It's the art of combining imperfect, contradictory information to create a single, cohesive, and trustworthy model of reality. This journey from the seamless user experience back to the first principles of light, radio waves, and computational logic teaches us something fundamental about innovation. The quest to build a machine that could drive wasn't solved by perfectly replicating a human driver. It was solved by deconstructing the problem of driving, perception, prediction, action, and building new, non-human senses from the ground up to solve each part of that problem. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes the most complex challenges are not overcome by creating a better version of ourselves, but by designing a better team of specialists, each contributing its own unique perspective, and then creating a system intelligent enough to listen to them all. The self-driving car doesn't see the world. It interrogates it using a chorus of light and radio waves, and from their combined echoes, it constructs its own, more resilient reality.
You've been listening to First Principles. Until next time, stay curious.